Yo, yo, yo. I'm excited for today. One of my good friends, Chael Sonnen. No nickname required for that guy. I'm telling you, you're killing the game when you don't have a nickname. When you're famous enough as a fighter, you do not have a nickname, you're doing something right. Chael Sonnen's stopping by. He's on his media tour, and I was lucky enough to be close enough with Chael Sonnen where he's going to give us a little bit of time before his huge fight this Saturday, live on Spike TV. It's faux free for the first time ever. Chael Sonnen is fighting faux free, not pay-per-view, on Spike TV this Saturday, Los Angeles on the Forum. He is the main event against Big Brown Breakdown alumni Tito, the Huntington Beach bad boy, Ortiz. It's a hell of a fight, man. Two legends. It's Tito Ortiz's last fight. I'm excited for it. I will have it on in the green room. I will be in Chael's hometown in Portland doing a live show at the Latin Theater, I believe, with Brian the Kid Callen. If you're listening to this right now, tfatk.com. We're in Vancouver Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then we go to Seattle Friday night, and we end in Portland on Saturday. Some of those shows are sold out. I forget which ones are sold out, but go to tfatk.com right now to get tickets to experience the best live show you will ever see. And I know you're like, oh, you're biased because you're in it. No, I promise you, as anyone who's been, we fucking kill it. That's just being real. I'm proud of this product, and the Fire and Kid lives there's something special, man. So all you guys coming out, I can't wait to see you guys. But today, I actually leave tonight. I'm recording this it is Tuesday at 12:50 p.m. right now on the West Coast. I'm recording this out of Playa Vista, California, and I leave tonight to head to Vancouver, Canada, which I'm pretty excited for. But obviously we have to get these in, and then after this I have a fight in the kids. So busy day. I'm excited for everything going on, guys. And the Big Brown Breakdown live is happening. I don't know if tickets are on sale yet, but this will be the first announcement, I guess. I wasn't even ready to do this. Might as well do it. The Big Brown Breakdown live comedy UFC fighting show is happening March 2nd at the Ice House in Pasadena, California. I think it doesn't seat a ton, so that bitch will sell out. Get tickets right now. We don't have them on the site. We will. The Ice House might have them, but when they go on sale, I will blast it out. They will be on tfatk.com, but I'm not sure if they're on the official Ice House website yet, but you guys are hearing it from me right now because I'm going out of town after this. Big Brown Live, my first one-man show. It's been a goal of mine, and I can't believe it's happening. I'm pretty excited. It's right before that big UFC on March 4th. It is a Thursday night in Pasadena, California. The Big Brown Live Breakdown with special guest appearances. It's going to be a fun night, man. So get tickets now. And yeah, that's what we got going on. So, all right, Chin, let's get into it, man.
Cool.
Did you watch the fights on Sunday?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the event, are there some in the current events?
Yeah, well, I have the card up there.
Okay, I mean, we can just skim over it real quick. There's not much to cover because, the shitty thing for the UFC on this is, and they didn't mean to, usually they stroll right in after a huge NFL playoff game, which record numbers, biggest playoff game, I think of all time, especially that far or that early in the playoffs, Dallas, Green Bay. Then they roll into the UFC. Mm-hmm. But Kansas City had horrible weather, so they delayed it and they rescheduled for it a night game.
Damn.
So that's going to steal away a lot of your viewership. But let's be honest, this card was shit. I mean, it just in general, and I'm not being a hater, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but remember, you had Conor McGregor on these cards before. You've had some heavy hitters. So I love BJ Penn, and he's a legend. You look at besides BJ, I mean, there's zero star power. Zero. You look at that prelim, and it's like, fuck you. Yeah. You look at that prelim, and I mean, it looks like it's a tough go. It's a tough go all the way around from the prelim on Fight Pass to the Fox Sports 1 card. You're not getting a lot of views leading into that main card. The main card was fun. I thought Sergio Pettis had his coming out party. I thought he looked amazing. He should be ranked in the top 10 after this. I think he's 6-2 in the UFC now, beating Moraga, who was a title contender for a long time. He just outclassed him. Sergio looked amazing. And I mean, you look at the card, you got all decisions, right? You got all decisions. You got a split decision with Lozon, who I didn't think Lozon won the fight. And Lozon, what a man, gets on the mic, goes, I didn't win that fight.
I love that.
Which is amazing, which I think, which makes Joe Lozon. And then you end it with just a brutal beating of one of the most beloved fighters of all time. Mm-hmm. It's just the perfect recipe for a shit night. Let's be real. I was lucky because I was doing a fight campaign, so I barely watching it. I had to rewatch it late last night, so I rewatched it without the influence of wine, Brian Callen, and Joe Rogan. And still, it's just it's not a great card, man. And then with BJ, it's just I hope he never fights again. And all this talk about CTE and weight cutting issues, and then you got the Golden Snitch and Nowitzki and the USADA, and you're trying to do everything to make the sport right, and then you let a guy like BJ Penn fight, and BJ's a fighter from his pinky toe to the last hair on his head. He's one of the best fighters of all time. He's on my Mount Rushmore, even though I have 57 Mount Rushmore guys, but BJ Penn's definitely in the top 4 there. So. Okay, BJ decides to come back. You don't show respect to a legend by tossing him a Yair Rodriguez, who's young, who's basically out of the matrix, and BJ's never seen this style. And what's it do for BJ beating a Yair Rodriguez? And I love Yair, and I think he will be a huge contender, and especially his Mexican influence, and he does have a lot of personality, and the Mexicans can actually cling to him. Like, my girl's from Mexico. She watched him. She's like, yeah, I mean, he's Mexican. Yeah. He's not like Taco Bell, like a lot of these other Mexican fighters who are more American than Mexican. He's as Mexican as it gets. He's authentic. Yeah. So he'd be a great representative of the Mexican culture, and he has all the skills, and he's athletic, trains out of this huge camp, and he won the Ultimate Fighter Latin, so he has all this stuff going for him. So, but still, he's Yair Rodriguez. This is a guy who won a split decision against Bruce Leroy. No knock on Bruce Leroy, but he's not a world beater. So for him to go in there and just completely outclass BJ Penn, it does nothing for me. For Yair, it's good that he got name recognition. He's fighting a legend, but BJ was a shell. He's just there. And in his own credit, he has this granite chin and toughness. And anyone else would have probably been out there, in the first minute. But I don't get it. You're piggybacking off BJ Penn's fame to make Yair Rodriguez, but it's not a competitive fight. The fuck we doing?
Did you expect it to be that much of a one-sided fight from the beginning?
I don't know if I said this on the companion or if I said on here. It's just there could have been a worse matchup. BJ Penn, all he does is box or jiu-jitsu. So the game evolves so fast. And I don't know if it's a matter of BJ just getting older and it's his skill set, but the game evolves so fast that I've taken 3 years off, and all I did is box, wrestle, and jiu-jitsu. If I came back and fought a heavyweight's a bad example because they're dinosaurs. They're still doing the same shit. I could just box and be just fine. That's a bad example. But at 145, it's a different animal. Yeah, Yair Rodriguez, he's the new breed, man. It's like BJ's playing fucking Tecmo Bowl, and Yair's like, what? I'm on fucking Madden 99 with my PlayStation 7 over here. And then fucking BJ has to go play him in that game when he's been playing Tecmo on Nintendo. It's just not, it's not fun. To me, that's not fun. It does nothing for anyone. I think Yair does have a huge future, but I don't know. BJ didn't land a punch. He wasn't even close. I don't know what Yair's made out of. He just went to a split decision with Bruce Leroy, and now he murked this legend. Toss him a top 10 guy, then we can talk. Yeah. I think he has all the tools, he has all the charisma, he has all the personality, and the drive and all that to be a champion. I can't say he's gonna be for sure. I have no idea. That wasn't a competitive fight. I don't know why you'd put that on there.
That was one of the weirdest matchups. But I know that BJ's fights got canceled a few times.
A bunch of them got canceled.
So that's probably why they matched him up.
But still, fuck, man. There's some other guys you can beat. Let BJ win one and dip out. Yeah. What else you got, man? Let's jump into current events.
Sure. The biggest current event right now is Tim Kennedy literally just retired. I don't know if you heard this.
I did not hear this.
Yeah,
I have my thoughts on it. That's for sure.
And he made this huge post. I didn't read the entire thing, but I guess this is on his Facebook page. But it's interesting that this comes right now. So he's in the ER, and he's talking about his last fight.
Oh, give me the cliff notes there. Kelvin, the right skill set to beat you in was that your first fight back, you had ring rust. You're still top 10. I appreciate the comments. I don't think they're wrong. I know I'm still a good fighter. I know I was away for a while, but they didn't feel what I felt. And that's being 37. I felt like I was in slow motion the entire match. I felt tired for the first time ever in a fight. I agree with that. I've never seen him with bad cardio. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy that once graduated Ranger School, a place that starves you. Go ahead and scroll up for me, brother. Starves you and denies you sleep for 2 months and took a fight 6 days later in the IFL and won. Jesus Christ. I'm the guy that's always in shape. I was for this fight. I worked harder than I ever worked before in a fight. But I wasn't me anymore. My brain knew what to do, but my body did not respond. I watch other fighters arrive here. I've watched other fighters pretend they weren't here. I will not be one of them. That's fucking brilliant.
It's a real long one.
Yeah, and I think Tim is a guy. He has so much going on outside the UFC. He doesn't need this. I watched that fight. Whenever you see a fighter turn his back from a punch, it's probably time to go. And you're talking about. Let's be real here too. When guys go, I'm going to war, this can be a war. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're going into a calculated fight that you've been training for weeks. There's no war. No one's going to die. When Tim Kennedy says, I'm going to war, and he's a ranger, a high-level guy, he's probably the toughest guy. And everyone always says, right? And I always make fun of people go, oh, he's tough. Paige Van Zandt loses, but God, can't deny her toughness. I get all that. To get to the UFC, you have to be tough. To get to be an elite level ranger, you have to be tough, a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy is the toughest fighter, human being to ever grace the octagon. Hands down. If you want to argue that with me, I would love to argue it with you. There's never been anyone tougher ever in the world to enter a UFC octagon than Tim Kennedy. From fighting in the octagon to protecting your freedom, there has never been someone like Tim Kennedy. There's been other veterans, there have been other military guys. I get that. And what they've done, I'm not discrediting them. They are not Tim Kennedy. They did not fight the same guys Tim Kennedy did. They did not do the same missions Tim Kennedy did. They are not an elite level like Tim Kennedy as far as special forces, And then he's also this is the same guy who has the brains to be part of one of the biggest shows on the History Channel, Hunting Hitler. Mm-hmm. That's what you're dealing with. So make no mistake about it. Tim Kennedy is hands down the toughest human being to ever enter the octagon. If you want to argue that, please try. And here's a big takeaway from this. That same will and drive power that made Tim Kennedy inside the octagon, makes him this elite special forces ranger. Well, now, what do you think he's going to focus on? What's he zeroing in on?
Oh, man.
Oh, he's the top of the food chain. He's the ambassador for the Mixed Martial Arts Athletic Association. And I just talked to Tim last week. And I would assume right now he's on his way to go talk to a bunch of training camps and to give him his thoughts on exactly what's going on. I'm telling you, they're making moves.
Yeah.
And I can't confirm all on here because I'm not in the right to. I'll let Tim do the speaking when it comes to that. But now you have a guy who takes that work ethic and he's focusing on the Mixed Martial Arts Association. So I think it's a huge, man. It doesn't get much better to have a guy like that on board and to have him focusing for the rights of the fighters. You're going to see some changes now because of Tim Kennedy. It's awesome, man. What else you got, brother? Shout out Tim Kennedy. Love you, man.
Next one is Mark Hunt. He was on Ariel's show, and he was saying that, you know how he had that fight with Alistair?
Sure.
He was saying that he was essentially forced to take that fight because it was something that the UFC said he would be in breach of contract if he didn't take it. So he doesn't really even I don't think he really wants to take this fight.
Oh,
He's actually forced into this fight too.
It's weird they want him to fight even though he's suing him. So Hunt turned down multiple bouts last year, but told Ariel Helwani that the UFC threatened that he would be in breach of contract if he didn't take the Overeem matchup.
Yeah, does that make sense?
No. They put me in a position like, well, what am I supposed to do? They forced this fight on me pretty much.
Can they force you?
No.
So that's why this.
What they can do is he can turn it down and extend your contract. They can't force you to fight.
That's probably what he means then, right? He doesn't want his contract extended.
So if they offer you a contract, I don't want to get out of my lane here. My contract, I remember, if I decline to fight, they're like, all right, and then they extend it, because what you can't do is, let's say you have a let's say you have a 3-fight contract and you have 3 fights left on your contract, and you're like, well, I'll fight 3 times a year. And you're like, you know what? I don't like any of these matchups. I'm just going to wait till my year ends. It doesn't work like that, because the UFC, the way they work, they go, let's offer him this matchup. Might be a terrible matchup. And you go, nope. They go, okay, so it extends. So when you turn it down, it extends your contract. Does that make sense?
By months or by years?
Months.
Months. Okay, so
usually it's 6 months.
Damn, that's a half a year.
Yes,
so
that was my contract. Whenever I turned down a fight, it extended it 6 months.
Okay, so I'm guessing that's what he means.
So maybe that's what he's. I don't know his contract. I don't know the details of it. I could be way off, but usually if he's forced to fight, he might have 1 fight left on his contract. If he turns this down, they're like, cool, man, we're gonna sit you for another year and a half.
And he does not want that.
He doesn't want that. Ugh, that's a shitty situation. So let me get this straight. He's suing the UFC. They force him to fight Alistair Overeem. He doesn't want to fight.
At least he's putting it out there that he doesn't want to fight. And he's also putting it out there that he's being forced to fight, which sounds terrible.
God, dog, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because what exactly is going on where he has to fight? You know, is he strapped for cash? What's going on here?
So that's what he said before. Remember, he was saying that he has to put, food on the table or something like that. Like he needs to fight for the money. But then now he's coming out and saying that he was essentially forced to.
And then I love the thing trending, right? Stipe Miocic calls UFC 203 contract a slap in my face.
That was the next current event.
Okay, please. So all it says is, quote unquote, took my kindness for weakness. God damn it. All right, what do you got?
All right, there it is.
Stipe calls UFC 203 contract a slap in the face, says UFC took my kindness for weakness. What's he talking about?
So he's saying that for the last fight
Why
that
is he so sweaty in that picture? I love you, Stipe. Why is he so sweaty? Okay.
It was this fight with Alistair. He found out later on that he was paid, I think it was $200,000 less than what Alistair got. And Stipe is champ. So he was really pissed about that when he found that out. And that's why he said he ended up going to the UFC and asking him, like, what's the deal with this? And the UFC said, well, it's blah, blah, blah. It's the contract that you signed or whatever. And he's like, I'm not hearing that. That's not cool. It doesn't make sense. I'm the champion. Why is this guy making $200,000 more than me? So he went on Ariel's show and then let it all out. These are the little nicks on the Titanic that you're talking about.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to add up.
Everyone's doing it.
It's going to add up because now you have a champ going, what the hell, man? I should have been paid
heavyweight
more.
Champ, yeah.
The heavyweight world champ, the baddest man on the planet. You talk about pound for pound. Pound for pound, the heavyweight's always he can beat up everybody. Everybody. And he made $600,000. And he's the
pissed
best
also.
in the world made $600,000.
He's pissed because that was in Cleveland where he brought in all the fans.
He was the only draw.
Exactly.
Overeem's not a draw in fucking Cleveland. Hate to tell you, UFC, Overeem's only a draw in fucking Amsterdam. Only in the Netherlands. Over here, we've seen it. It's over. It's fucking over. So he sells out that stadium and he gets $600,000. Oh, it's so slimy. It's so dark. And now you're fucking over Mark Hunt. And now you got the champ.
Everybody's complaining.
The changes are coming. There couldn't be a better time. WME has no idea what they're doing. Now that you got this going on. Yeah. Oh, good God. You can't do your champs like that. You want to rock the boat? Fuck the champs who have power.
Yeah. But what do you do when you have if you did the contract before?
Well, he did the contract before because they went, listen, that's all we can pay you. We can't do any more. You're getting the most we can give anybody. And then the opponent you're fighting gets $800.
Yeah, then that's crazy.
So they're just lying. That's the problem. That's a huge problem. Because now you're in a business relationship where it's sketchy, where everything's shady, where they're going to say this, and you're like, God, I guess. Where they go, do this for us, we're going to take care of you here. And you know damn well it's not going to happen. Yeah. So now all this is coming to light. All this is coming to light. And now guys just aren't, they're like, no, this is my rate, I'm not fighting. And now people go, God, why is Conor only fighting? This is why. Conor knows the game. It's like, fuck you. I need $50 million now. And now remember, Dana White's on record saying they could pay two fighters $25 million.
He did say that.
He's on record confirming that they have the funds to pay two guys $50 million plus pay-per-view.
Yep.
He's on record saying it.
I saw it.
So now we know. Now the ceiling goes whoop, whoop, whoop. They got it's Mayweather. All right, that's fine. But now we have on record that you have the means to make $25 million fight happen. And now you're paying the world champion, heavyweight world champion, $600,000 to fight Alistair Overeem in his hometown. Okay. What else you got, brother?
All righty. Rashad Evans, he was once again on Arrow's show and talking about the reasons. Oh, this is the second one. So the other one I wanted to talk to you about was when he couldn't do the fights. He got pulled from 205 and then he got pulled from 206, I think, because of something that they found in his brain.
CT scan?
Something like that. So I wanted to ask you, he says he's fine to fight now. That the radiologist made a mistake. Like the same radiologist saw the two exact same x-rays or whatever those were and found the same things but had two different conclusions. How could you look at a thing from 2013 and 2016? Wouldn't they look at new scans or something like that? I don't know how the medicals go when you guys do these things.
It depends. What you usually get new MRIs, especially. I know California always had to. It depends. In Vegas, you're doing it like once a year, maybe once every 2 years, and then in New York, they must have. He just need new ones, and this doctor was like must have saw something and flagged it.
It was twice though, too.
Yeah, that's very strange, man. But it sounds like he's going to get a fight because. The rumor, I heard they were going to try book Rashad against a big name guy. You guys can figure out a big name guy in Brooklyn, and it obviously didn't happen again because of this brain scan. So maybe just New York's a bitch to get past. You better have all your T's crossed and I's dotted to get in there. But it says that. Look, ideally he would have liked to face Anderson Silva, but that's not happening. Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that next too. What do you think of the matchup with Derek Brunson against Spider Silva?
I mean, if it was on like a Thursday night, I would watch it for free. Pay? No, sir.
So you hate this Brooklyn card?
It's crazy. The worst. It's one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. Mm-hmm. It's fucking terrible. It's a fun fight night. It's a fun fight night. I mean, Brunson just got he got knocked out by Whitaker. It was his last fight. Yeah.
Yeah, that when he was chasing him crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun fight. He got knocked out. Mm-hmm. And then Anderson Silva got knocked out by Michael Bisping, who was the champ.
He got knocked out by Bisping?
I'm sorry, lost in decision to Bisping. But he ended up knocking Bisping out, and then Bisping came back and won the fight.
Yeah.
A great fight. That fight, I mean, it does nothing for me. It's like an ugly girl walking in the bar. It does nothing for me.
Would you have rather have seen...
Just nothing for me.
Would you have rather seen Mousasi against Anderson Silva? Because that was the other current event. Mousasi was pissed off because they said that his name wasn't big enough. UFC said that his name wasn't big enough.
They said Derek Brunson is?
Exactly. So it was weird...
Who in the fuck? Is it an 18-year-old troll running the UFC now? Who the fuck is running the UFC right now? Wait. Mousasi, who's been fighting forever and ranked in the top 10 forever. You're not a big enough name. Is Derek Brunson available? I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, why? Because that's a big name. That's going to sell some tickets. How many Derek Brunson fight kits have we sold? 7. How many have we sold altogether? 17. All right, let's fucking book that. Let's book that. I mean... Oh, and here's the other thing. Rashad's from New York. It would make way more sense.
Well, if Rashad could.
If he could get past, I realize the risk, but for sure, try everything you can to make that fight happen. And then Mousasi needs the big fight. He beat Vitor Belfort. Derek Brunson's coming off a knockout loss on a Fight Pass card against Whitaker. Mousasi fucking destroyed Vitor Belfort. Oh my God, who's running the UFC? I feel sick. Whoever said that, I feel sick. Oh, God damn it. Someone doesn't know the sport. Oh, God. Oh, God. The ship is a rocking.
I don't know if they would ever fight. Oh, they would have to. They would probably want to make this fight after, who knows. But if you did fight Mousasi, wouldn't you get destroyed by Mousasi too? Anderson Silva of today?
Mousasi would beat Anderson Silva and Brunson up probably in the same night. Musasi's a monster. I don't have that. Maybe he's just, I don't know what his contract is like. Maybe they don't want to pay him. Who knows? God damn it. What else you got?
All right. This is one that I wanted to ask you about. So, Perillo is actually, he didn't say he wants BJ to retire, but he did say something like, if he wanted to retire, I would support him retiring. Something like really making it
Very
obvious
PC,
that he would say that. And I wanted to bring this up because I remember way back when you and Rogan were talking about retirement, or when he was talking to you about, that.
You're saying when I got roasted?
Yeah. I remember listening to it and me thinking, I didn't even know you back then. Me thinking like, what the hell? Why would this guy do this to him on the show and this and that? And me and my friends would even debate because
they were like, retire or not?
No, they were debating like, what he did was cool. And I was saying like, no, that's not cool at all, man. This is not cool.
It's not his right. Yeah.
We were doing this the entire time. So I still don't think it was cool. Yeah. But at the end result is obviously really awesome, right?
Yeah.
So what do you feel about people going on record? And a lot of fighters, a lot of fellow fighters are going on saying like, I don't want to see this again. And Perillo saying that too.
Yeah, I think it's all from a place of love. Not to beat a dead horse. With Rogan and I are different. Rogan and I are very close. Man. Yeah, we're very very close. So me and him were just talking about the other night. I was driving to the Comedy Store and I called him and I was like, I can't believe what the fuck? I'm going to sold out show at the Comedy Store right now. He was crazy, right? And he goes. And I go, dude, that talk you gave me, and even my dad was upset, my brother was upset with Rogan, but and they were upset for a long, long time. They still didn't think it was the right thing to do, but now it's kind of the right thing to do. Like,
right, it's weird.
Things are going great, and but Rogan was doing it because, and he only knows how to do it that harsh, which don't get me wrong, was brutal, but he was doing it because he knows I have other things to do. He told Callan, I won't get into that. That's private stuff. But I can't get into that. But he was a place of love, and he knew that I had other lanes I could go down and be very successful at. That was his reason behind it. With BJ, I don't have an issue with other professional fighters saying BJ needs to stop. I have no issue with that. I've said that. That was tough to watch. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I don't have an issue with that. When your peers go, man, it's not looking good, brother. Let's move on. Especially BJ has money. He's set. He has a legacy. He's good. At the end of the day, it's ultimately up to BJ Penn. But it's also up to the UFC to take care of their fighters. Don't give BJ is I said this. BJ is a fighter through and through. God damn is he game. He's going to fight till his head falls off. It is the UFC's freaking, it's on them. It falls on their shoulders that they should not, it's their responsibility. That's the freaking word I was looking for. It's the UFC's responsibility to not give BJ Penn a platform anymore. Because BJ Penn will fight every weekend if he could. That's all right. That's great, man. You can't do that. Yeah. Joe Montana would still be throwing fucking footballs if you'd let him perform for the San Francisco 49ers at Candlestick Park. The UFC, the NFL goes, man, we're good. We don't want to see that anymore. So the UFC, and the issue is they need stars, and BJ will always be a draw. But it's a double-edged sword. They should not allow him to fight anymore. I don't think he should fight. It wasn't competitive. Took too much damage. He's older. The game's past him. And it's a brutal game, man. It's a brutal game. It's not basketball. It's not golf. You're paying serious consequence for this. And BJ's set, man. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. I don't have a problem with other professional fighters saying he needs to get out of it at all, because they know. They know, man. And that was brutal to watch. You don't want to see a guy who's a hero like that just get eaten alive. You don't want to remember him that way.
I thought I didn't want to remember him for the Frankie Edgar, the weird fight.
I didn't either.
But then this one made me feel like, oh man, maybe that last one, I would rather remember him that way.
If you want to have him go out on a happy note, bring back an older guy. Let him maul CM Punk or something. You want pay-per-view ratings, UFC? If you're willing to,
that's a damn good idea.
If you're trying to just end a man's life to fucking please your ratings because you have this huge debt, give him CM Punk. That'll sell some ratings. You'll choke him out in about 30 seconds. All right, do us all a favor. What else you got?
Back to Rashad. I'm not sure if I have it up, but he said that the Black Zillions are essentially breaking apart entirely.
Yeah.
I just wanted your take on that whole thing.
I saw a little bit of it, and you guys here in the Chael interview, we mentioned a little. I just saw. I think he tweeted out that the Black Zillions are done. Mm-hmm. So he says Rashad says there really is no Black Zillions anymore. Cited drama being worse than 10 high schools put together. That's hilarious.
I did remember seeing that he said that it started off with Henry Hooft kind of wanting to do his own brand and branch off. And then from that point, people started picking sides. And then Glenn Robinson, I think he sold the gym, and then they were in a temporary gym. And then that was like the point where everyone kind of went their own way. And the majority went with Henry, including Rashad, from what I'm hearing. That's the name of the gym, Combat Club.
Sports. Well, listen, teams are tough to keep together, and someone. Guys, look back. Well, that's hilarious. I just see a quote of Chael Sonnen, who's coming on the show soon. Says,
you look on the right.
Guys sucked back then when Tito Ortiz was UFC champion.
Too is perfect.
It's so funny. Anyways, listen, these super teams are dealing with a million personalities. That's why a guy like Phil Jackson, when he was coaching the Bulls, or all these great coaches have to deal with these huge egos. In fighting, take that and magnify it times 10, because they're their own business. And then their coach gets famous. Now he wants to sell his own brand, his recognition. Now he's in the back of the shot. So you're dealing with all this. These teams, they start up, they do great, then they fold. They start up, they do it, and then they fold. It's just it's nature of the business. So when you see guys like, and hate to tell you, Jackson's, AK, ATT, TriStar, everyone has drama. But they figure it out because it's more about the team. Everyone has drama. Every single those gyms, every single team I've ever been part of, there's always drama. Mm-hmm. But you figure it out. They just didn't figure it out. But they're also a team of misfits. They're also a team of just guys. It's like the Pro Bowl. They're not really a team. They're just superstars. You put them together and hopefully they gel and they're good for one game. But now they're trying to make all these superstars work together. It doesn't work like that. It's chemistry. You need up and comers. You want to create world class guys. They tried going the fast route, and this is what happens. You need to organically build a team.
It did seem like there were cliques in that team too. You know how like Overeem put little things up so no one could see him training and all that weird stuff.
It was weird.
There?
Remember, I trained there for Nogueira camp. Yeah.
What did you?
I was down there with Rashad. I only trained really with Rashad, and I would do jiu-jitsu and wrestling with the rest of the team. But I would, mainly it was me and Rashad. Rashad was my guy. He was getting ready. I was getting ready. So, I didn't really see a huge team atmosphere. But like I said, they tried doing it the fast way. It doesn't work like that. You got to pay your dues.
Did you get to know the guy Glenn Robinson much?
Glenn, I've met him a few times, and I think even my manager Lex was in business with him a little bit. He's always very nice to me, smart guy.
I don't know why, but he came off in the show. I watched The Ultimate Fighter when they had the gyms. The way he was coming off on the show, it seemed so immature and
really.
I
didn't watch him,
but everyone seems
to
like the part of his team. They seem to love him and care about him.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, like I said, my dealings with him, he's always super nice to me. Yeah. But I don't know.
You want another one?
Let's do one more.
All right. Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw will be the new Ultimate Fighter coaches. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I love it. I think the Ultimate Fighter needs some life, even though they're cutting the budget on the Ultimate Fighter. This might do it. I think if you know the backstory between TJ and Cody and Team Alpha Male and Team Bang with TJ and TJ leaving the team, it's a great story. Now, that story is not going to carry the season. What's going to carry the season is the fun, the chemistry of the actual talent on the show. So I don't do we know what class it's going to be this season? Does it say?
I think there's going to be established fighters coming back or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So
or maybe a couple of them are going to be established, but I think they're just like like fighters returning or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That could be fun. They need to do something because that storyline won't carry the whole show. For a countdown, that storyline will, but for a season Ultimate Fighter, it won't. But I'm excited to see it, and we'll break down that freaking fight when it comes down. That is a tough there is a great matchup.
So that has to be the next matchup for.
Oh, that's the matchup.
For Cody, right?
Yeah. Whenever there was the exception the one time with Connor's season, but whenever there's two coaches, they always fight for the finale, and that'll be a pay-per-view, I assume. That's a great fight. I love that fight.
So the show is called Redemption. So people who already fought in the UFC are coming back to the show.
And they've done that before with Matt Serra, Pete Spratt, a lot of those guys. That was a great season. Look what happened with Matt Serra. Ended up being world champion.
I know.
Shout out to Matt Serra. Love that guy. Is that it, brother?
That's it.
All right, man. Let's jump into this interview with Chael Sonnen. It was a fun one, man. Like you said, he's a close friend. We had a lot to catch up on. We talk Apprentice, which is airing right now on Monday nights on NBC.
I think CBS. I don't know.
Is it CBS?
I'm going to check right now
check.
just to make sure. It might be NBC, yeah.
I feel like Apprentice is always on NBC.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But let's check.
It's tough.
I just heard Chael say CBS for some reason, for something else maybe. And NBC, you're right.
So check out Chael Sonnen on the new Celebrity Apprentice with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bunch of other celebrities. That is Monday nights. We talk a little bit about the new Celebrity Apprentice. He talks about how it came about. And then we obviously get into everything MMA related from the UFC, Dana White, Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was Floyd Mayweather. And then obviously we definitely get balls deep into Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen this Saturday, live, free, Spike TV. Ladies and gentlemen, Chael Sonnen.
Hey, dude. I think you should probably break down Tito and Chael's fight.
That's you know what?
Before we leave.
It is the Big Brown breakdown. So we got to break something down, you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
And if you want to break down anyone else on the card, but
let me look at
Tito
this card.
Chael,
So
sure.
this is Bellator this Saturday, and it is Bellator 171 live.
170.
170?
Yeah.
Live at the Forum in Los Angeles. The headline is Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen. I will save that for last. It's a fun card, man. I'm not going to get too deep into breaking this down, but you got Paul Daly, if you remember him in the UFC. Remember he punched Josh Koscheck and got cut, but he's shit. As far as MMA goes, one of the best strikers in the world. Then you got Alec Gracie. That's an interesting one. Wow. Fighting to pay the bills back from what he did in Metamoris. I will leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And then, that's a fun one. The preliminaries on Spike.com. You got Shinzo Machida, which if you've watched him fight, he has some insane knockouts. I want you to think vintage Lyoto Machida, but smaller and more explosive. He has his stand-up's ridiculous. Wow. And I don't know his opponent, Ocampo, but if he's a stand-up guy, that is one to watch. And then my boy, who I actually brought into, and he's a paid training partner of mine, I would pay him. And if he landed a head kick, he got $100. If he knocked me out, he got $500. We'd spar at Black House. His name is Jack May. He was in the UFC. He fought in Titan, and now he's fighting in Bellator. And he's 6'8". If you have to create a UFC fighter or a mixed martial artist in a video game, he would be your mold. He's a mohawk. He's 6'8". He's a knockout artist. He fought in K1, UFC, Bellator, Titan. He's a great dude. I haven't spoken to him in a while. He was at our last live show in Ontario. Oh, I'm sorry, Brea. He trains in Orange County. He's a fun guy. He doesn't want to go to the ground. He doesn't want to do jiu-jitsu. Doesn't want to do wrestling, even though he's a monster to take down. He's a knockout artist, a K1 knockout artist, and that'll be a really fun fight. And then another fun fight for me on this card would be Kevin Casey versus Keith Berry. Keith Berry used to train with us at Rain. He's former, I think, Marine. Don't quote me on him. I'm pretty sure he's a military guy. Monster. He reminds me of a young, what's the name I'm looking for? Come on, Alpha Brain. Of a young, God damn it. What was his name? He's part of Hammer House.
Mark Coleman? Not Mark Coleman.
No, he fought in Pride.
Phil Baroni?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The New York Badass. He reminds me of Phil Baroni, his fighting style. And he's fighting Kevin Casey. If you remember Kevin Casey, he was in the UFC. He is a black belt. He trains with Crone. He's a Hickson Gracie black belt. Big, intimidating dude. Fun to watch. Ridiculous grappling. Striking, it's getting better. He trains out of Black House. He will catch you if he can with his left hook. He's a southpaw, and he has a lot of power. Him versus Keith Berry is a fun one. But those are my go-tos on this. You know, I'm sure the other ones are fun, and that's the best I can break this one down for you right now. But so let's get to it. Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen. Trained with both of them. I love both guys. I'm probably closer with Chael, but obviously Tito, Big Brown alumni. He's a friend. 100% he's a friend. So is Chael Sonnen. So this one kind of sucks for me to break down. Hope I don't hurt anyone's feelings. It's Tito Ortiz's last hurrah. It's his last fight. And it's a doozy. If there's a way for Tito, I would expect him to go out just like this against a tough opponent in Chael Sonnen. And to be honest, a terrible matchup for him. Chael's a big 205er. He's fought some of the best in the world. When it comes to Tito Ortiz, Chael Sonnen does everything better.
Damn.
He really does. I think it's a good time for Tito to come out, to get out. He is on my Mount Rushmore. He's on my Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore is so fucking big, and his face is on there. Obviously, it's Tito Ortiz. Chael Sonnen is on there, but not as high up as Tito Ortiz. It's a perfect send-off for Tito Ortiz. If Tito were to win this, I think his best way to win would be taking Chael down, which is easier said than done, and using his vintage ground and pound technique. Chael's a big guy. He's been training constantly. The X factor with Chael, which is exactly what we get into in this interview, is ring rust and all this Celebrity Apprentice and his underground submission tournaments and Family Man and new camp, changing locations. Is all that taken into account and all this time off? He's the main event. He has to sell this card. He's fighting a very game Tito Ortiz. What version of Chael do we get? So that's the X factor. I don't know the odds. Is there odds on this? I would, if I had to put my money on it, I would put money on Chael Sonnen. That being said, anytime, just like I talked about when Tito was on the show, anytime Tito Ortiz's back is against the wall and you count him out, he usually pulls the fight out via Ryan Bader. Remember that fight?
They're the odds.
Shit, not bad. Minus 165, plus 145 Tito Ortiz. That's not bad at all. I mean, that means they think it's going to be a close fight. 3-round fight. I'm going to say Chael Sonnen via TKO. Late second, maybe third round. I think he takes Tito down and does some work.
It's a hardcore prediction.
What do you think?
I have the thing is,
You
I got
have
to see.
pick. You have to pick.
I got to see.
You think I wanted to fucking pick? I fucking love Tito. He's going to come to my stand-up. Now I got to freaking... Hopefully, he might prove me wrong. Hopefully, he's like, you're fucking wrong, Schaub.
Since I get to work here, I got to meet Tito and Chael. Mm-hmm. I never knew that Tito was that big.
Big dude.
Chael's arms are enormous, but Tito's really big, and I'm just going to go ahead and go with Tito. I don't know if it's
I like it, man. I mean, yeah, the odds are close.
Yeah.
We should bet something on it.
Something cool.
I know.
I never got to drive your car yet, so I'd love to do that.
Deal. You can spit. If Tito wins, you can have my car for the day.
All right, that sounds great. And then what if Chael wins? Then I don't get to get the car.
Deal.
All right, sounds good.
Deal. Fucking Chael better win. No one drives I don't even let valet drive my car. I park it myself. Yeah, I know. Weird. Yeah, so it's a fun car. This Saturday night, live Spike TV, Bellator 170, Chael Sonnen, Tito Ortiz, live, faux free, a bunch of other fun fights on there. Tune in, people.
Sweet.
Is it time for the Chael Sonnen interview now?
I think so.
Enjoy! Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, on the Big Brown Breakdown, we got one of my good buddies. I think everyone loves this guy. Chael Sonnen is in the house, who's fighting this Saturday in Los Angeles. Thanks for coming by, man.
I wouldn't miss it.
I know. I reach out. It's rare I reach out directly to the talent, but with you, I'm like, dude, have to have you on. Man.
I'd have been offended if you hadn't, man. If I'm going to be in town, I want to come and see you, so that this makes sense. I mean, why not record it, right? We're going to talk anyway. Why not record it?
We're going to talk.
Right.
We might as well do something with it so people can listen to us chat. Have you, you came straight from Rich Eisen, right?
He was a cool guy.
Good guy.
Good guy. You should see his set. I mean, it's got to be $1 million set. I couldn't believe the kind of production he had, particularly when you consider that it's online. But he's an all-around sports guy. See, he has a skill set that I don't have. I have to be limited. I have limited passion.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, but I know a lot about him. But they are limited. He can just talk anything.
He knows MMA too pretty well.
He did. He knew MMA, but I mean, he could tell you who they're drafting out of college. He knows all about the pros, as he's proven for years in his career. I was really impressed with him as an intellect. I thought you must watch a lot of television.
And a nice guy, just like
he was
a guy's guy, a good dude. And his set, I would say, I'm trying to think of others. Probably by far one of the best I've seen.
I've never seen anything like it for internet. I mean, I was blown away. Adam Carolla doesn't have anything like that.
Carolla has a cool compound there with his cars and stuff like that, but not like Rich Eisen.
Why does he have those cars? They're like broken down cars. Every time you go to Carolla's set, there's like a car on jacks or something. He thinks it's cool. It's like, Adam, fix the car. That car's been here for 4 years.
I've been coming here for the past 5 years. That car has not moved.
Is it a decoration?
I don't know.
Why does he have that
And there's
car?
like 10 of them. There's literally 10 cars. And it's just like, is it a body shop? Is it a podcast studio? Are you doing TV?
Is he out there kicking around and doing it or what? Because he's at a snail's pace if he's the one doing it. I mean, I have no idea. But yes, that damn car sits there. I go,
I feel like Adam's one of those guys who he has his hand in everything. Like you walk in, there's like some weird like margarita mix, Carolla's margarita mix on the wall. Then he's doing a documentary on Paul Newman, and then he's doing some TV show with construction.
Yeah, right up the road, he's got those studios. So a lot of people don't know this. He's number one in the podcast space, but he does 11 3-hour podcasts a week. So 33 hours, and that's not with prep time. 33 hours a week goes into a podcast, and then he has all those other things you mentioned.
But also, with all those 11 hours, or 11 shows, they're different shows. I think he has 4 or 5 shows.
He's got home improvement shows. He used to be a contractor, like kind of a handyman. He met Jimmy Kimmel. He was at a. I mean, yes, he has a lot of different interests. He's a pretty fascinating guy.
Yeah, he's I mean, definitely one of the pioneers. You know, there's Rogan, there's Maron, and there's Carolla. But most people say Carolla is like the king of podcasting.
He's number one. Yep, 5 million listens a week.
5 million listens a week.
And I've never known if that meant per episode or if that got spread over all. I don't know. I just know he is.
Yeah, it just depends. I don't know if he's number one. I think Rogan beats him.
He passed, then Rogan passed him, and that that is a moving target. I follow that stat too. So maybe Rogan did. Rogan's huge.
You'll feel good about yourself. Like I'll brag to Rogan on something. Not brag, just like because we'll check in with each other, daily or every 2 days. I'm like, yeah, I got this number. He's like, oh, and he's not bragging. He's like, cool, yeah, we did this. You're like, oh, we're not on the same planet.
No, not even the same planet. Yeah, he did 2 million downloads on. He does that quite often. To put that in perspective for people, CNN on a good night does 1.7. So he has surpassed CNN with an internet show. He's good. He's good.
Like those fight companions. It's us watching the UFC event or Bellator or whatever it is. And, those on average get around 2-3 million downloads in the first 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. That is an incredible number.
It's insane. People don't realize how big it is.
Yeah.
He's just, he's a guy, and to your point, you're saying how Rich Eisen, he's like a jack of all trades and he's a genius with all this stuff. Rogan, too, he'll have a scientist on, a chemical engineer, and they just have this 3-hour banter back and forth, man.
Have you ever asked Rogan if we have landed on the moon? Have you ever heard his? Because you will get a 1-hour response without a conclusion. I derive that his conclusion is no, but he won't come out and say no. But he will answer that question. Set him up sometime and just say, hey, Rogan, we ever land on the moon? It will be 1 hour before he shuts up.
Now ask Eddie Bravo. And you'll find out like this, no. And this is why.
Really?
Yeah. Have you seen this YouTube video? And he will send you 7 links of YouTube videos on why we never landed on the moon.
I don't think there's anything more fun than a conspiracy. Myself, I love them. I mean, who shot JFK, the whole bit. I went out to Dallas. I walked the grassy knoll. I studied the whole thing. Conspiracy's fun. It really is fun.
I mean, they're fun unless it's all you do. Like, I love Eddie. People think I don't like Eddie. I love Eddie. But it's literally like, that's his only cup of tea.
People think
like
you don't
all
like Eddie?
Conspiracies, yeah.
What did you say something about Eddie that got
no? Me and Eddie
misinterpreted somewhere.
No, me and Eddie on the show, we'll go back and forth, and people, you
hate Eddie.
Here you go. I was hoping Brian would be here so we could rub it in his face that Trump won.
Oh man!
Remember last time?
Yes.
One of the reasons I wanted you on the show was you're obviously a Trump supporter, and I wanted you and Brian to battle it out because Brian was talking all this smack before he came in, like weeks, like Trump doesn't have a shot, all this stuff, and then when he won, I was like, yeah.
Oh, a lot of people said that, and maybe Brian watched the news. You get influenced by that stuff, but people counted him out. I'm watching these newscasters in their fancy suits with their educations and all this stuff. I'm going, you guys are out of touch. The things you guys are saying about him, he is in touch with the everyday guy, and above everything else, that's what he had going for him. I like Trump. I'll tell you this. I hate to talk I love talking politics.
You love it.
I try not to do it because you will hurt people's feelings. I've always seen myself as a guy that can get around that social rule for one reason, which is I'm not afraid to be wrong. If you confront me with new evidence, I will change my mind. In politics, they'll always use it against a guy. He's a flip-flopper. I like a flip-flopper. I like anybody that when confronted with new evidence will go, wow, I didn't, and change their mind. Yeah, like somebody, I see it as open-minded.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trump had that. I liked Trump, though, actually from his real estate days. And then I also enjoyed his show. I enjoyed the Apprentice. And so I was just kind of a fan. And then, what he did for MMA, that's well documented. He was an owner in Affliction. Matt Lindland was fighting in Affliction at the time, and I was with Matt as a cornerman. And so I got to be around him a little bit.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it actually, my enamorment of Trump had nothing initially to do with his goals with government service.
More of a backstory.
Yeah, backstory. Very fascinating guy and pretty much a regular guy. Just worked really hard.
For you and being on Celebrity Apprentice, and I'm sure are you sick of talking about it?
No.
Have you done PR for that?
You know what? I get a kick out of it, and the ratings are doing just fine. But
especially
they're not doing.
Ones.
Yeah, they're not. The last one, it's picking up. Here's what happened though, Brennan, is it's been a Thursday night show from its conception. They moved it to Monday, and to tell you how hard that is, I was on the show. And on a Sunday before the premiere, I had a friend tell me, hey, I'm going to watch your show tomorrow. And I corrected him and said, it's Thursday. And he said, no, it's on tomorrow. It's on Monday. And I go, no, it's on Thursday. I'm on the show, and I didn't know what day it was. So
Why?
I just mean there is an educational process there anytime you change date. It even happened to the great Jay Leno. Jay Leno moved his time slot to prime time, 8 p.m. It flopped, and he had to move it back. So it doesn't really matter how good something is. People got to know when it's on.
They have to.
And we did have that up against us.
But
now, the ratings are doing fine.
They're doing well, especially this last one. You see a bump because people are catching
right.
on.
They're not.
And now you're competing, I think, with The Bachelor. Enjoy that.
We got yeah. Yeah,
Bachelor's a beast.
Yeah, it's a good product.
Super beast.
And there's been some great playoff games. There's been a couple of struggles on Monday, but I mean that's competition. If we do our job, then we'll get our share. So,
but I wonder why do you know why the switch from Thursday to Monday? Because there used to be Thursday night football, but then not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. No, I don't know why they moved it. And we filmed this 1 year ago. It was supposed to come out in summertime. But the election did record ratings, and everybody just said, hey, we'd rather wait until this monster is over. So, there's some gamesmanship and some strategy there with television, but the show itself is an excellent show.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting viewers to watch, it's doing really good. We wanted it to do really great.
And I think it'll get there for sure. It's just like anything. It's people getting to know it's on Monday night. But for you, and I forget who it was. I think maybe he was forget which one contestant it was, but he was doing Frank and Bean, which I listen to in the morning sometime. He was saying everyone had to stay at the Ritz-Carlton Marina Del Rey. Mm-hmm. So you were next door to me, and I had no idea.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we were sequestered essentially. Now, unlike the Ultimate Fighter, you do have contact. You do get to go home to your room at 10 p.m. every night until 5 a.m. the next morning. So I had my wife there, my kid with me. So you did have some of those luxuries. But yeah, it was a grind. And much like the Ultimate Fighter, that's an opportunity because people will give up. They mentally fall apart. They want to go do something else. It's really tough grind. I actually disagree with that on The Ultimate Fighter. I got to go through two of the processes as a coach, which means at night I get to go home to my family.
Yes.
It was so difficult. We took our team there, our actual team, the coaches I work with. As a cohesive unit, we got worse over time. We started driving each other crazy, and we still left as friends and on good terms, but we did get worse. And I could only imagine being the athletes. And I have scratched my head a couple of times and go, why can't those guys have phones? Why can't they watch some television?
Because the drama.
Right. Why do we have to torture these guys, pour alcohol down their throat, and make this drama? The show did get away from that. It started as a reality show, and it still gets called that. But that's not really true. This is the toughest tournament in all of sports.
Correct.
And then we're just going to document it. The Super Bowl is also a reality show. The reality is, it's a show they're trying to win from a competitive standpoint, and it's on television. So creating all that backroom drama and some of the Junie Browning stuff, and that stuff was a lot of fun. But to my point, and I am right on this, it has gotten away from that and focused more on the competition. So if you're doing that, let those guys call home. You don't have to torture your talent for 34 days. You just don't.
It's torture, but for me, when I was a fighter on the Ultimate, I'm alumni, right? So for me, I looked at like 6 weeks, just bust your balls, and I honestly, I didn't find it that tough.
Really?
There was drama. I don't drink anyways, but I just figured 6 weeks, and if you do well, shit, man, you're set.
Yeah.
It's your golden ticket. But to your point, you're right. They have gotten higher level fighters and less real world and more talented fighters, but the ratings have been like this.
Yes, they have, and I don't know that that's because of the drama as much as I can remember when the first Ultimate Fighter came out. I had two teammates on there that I was in the room with every day, and Randy Couture, who was our coach and teammate, was the coach of it against Chuck Liddell. So I was so excited. Now at that time frame in 2005, the UFC had 5 shows a year. On a good year, they'd have 6. Pride had 4 shows a year. On a good year, they would have 5. So we were starved for content. Every week I would look forward. I'd talk about it all week with my buddy. Yeah. We'd sit down, we'd watch this thing because it was like watching a UFC, and then you were given a fight, at the end. So it was so fun. It is a little bit of saturation now, and it is a little bit diluted. 100%. I think that's what's hurting the ratings,
I agree.
not the show. I feel that the show is essentially the same.
It's the same, but I just think people now, especially the hardcore fans, are like, yeah, we know. We got it, man. We might need something different. We want better fighters, better fights, which is what they did with this DJ season. Like, it was stacked with talent.
Sure.
Former world champions all around. But I just think, they need to switch it up. Maybe to your point where let the guys go home, you just tell their story, and it's a straight tournament that is televised every Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, I've always struggled with the concept as well. There's a missing piece there where they put them in teams. But the truth is there is no teams. One guy's left standing, and if teams get jacked up on previous seasons, they'd even take a few guys and send them. Now they got to switch their jerseys. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't have anybody to cheer for. I'm just cheering for laundry at this point. Yep. I mean, you're just switching the clothes around. So that maybe that concept could change. I really liked what they did with ATT and Black Zillions. Now their costs went through the roof, and the ratings didn't quite justify doing it again. But I thought as far as real TV went, where you actually took teams with an actual beef, I liked that concept more than just bringing guys in and going, okay, you're on this team, and here's your coaches.
The problem is they had that Glenn Robinson and the guy from ATT were like the focal point, and they were the trash talkers too. Rich white dudes talking smash.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, but they do have a real life.
They hate each other.
They hate each
Black
other.
Zillions is no longer, you know that?
I just heard that yesterday from Rashad, but is that I mean, I know what Rashad said, and his opinion certainly matters because he was the original guy there.
He was the captain.
Neil Melanson is a coach of Black Zillions. Michael Chandler is a member of Black Zillions. Pat Cummings is now with the Black. So
is Pat there now?
Yeah. So how can you How did they not exist? But those guys.
Well, but then
Black
Henry
Zillions.
Hoof left too. You know that?
Officially.
Yeah.
Where did he go? Is he
I'm
with
not
Vitor?
sure.
Where is Rashad at? Is Rashad at Vitor's gym?
I have no idea.
Because Vitor opened up shop right next to the Black Zillions. I mean, he just went a few miles down the road and opened up a
Because he was
studio.
originally there too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't know how accurate the statement they don't exist anymore is, though it was made by their leader, Rashad. So,
It's a big statement.
Yeah.
And then Henry Hoof, who's your striking extraordinaire, is like, I'm done too.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, I think the only one that can officially pull the plug is Glenn, and I don't think that's accurate information. We'd have to ask Glenn. I'm speculating, but I don't think they're done. Maybe they're rebuilding.
They might still be there. It's just a completely different, kind of look. Which doesn't mean they're shut down, but investing in an MMA team like Glenn, I mean, hopefully you have cash to spare.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a tough.
Yeah, and see, that's the
go.
thing. The Glenn Robinson story has never been told fairly because the fair statement is this is a guy that had a passion. Yeah, he had a beef over here, whatever his motivation was to get going, but he had a passion. He used his own money, and he changed a lot of lives. I mean, he brought guys over that could not get a job anywhere, and he put them on the payroll. He did this with coaches and athletes, from passports to visas to opportunities in some of the big shows. He changed lives. And the way the story's told is, what a jerk Glenn is. It's like, hey, he's losing his ass here. His wife's got to be chewing him out every night going, where's the money going? And Glenn's like, look, this is my passion and I care about these young guys. That part has never really been told.
No, and I agree.
Because he did not get into it for himself. And he never
you
personally
can't.
got anything out of it.
You can't. I think he was a fan of the sport, and I think he had money to spare and started helping these guys out. I think the issues with him came from them, quote unquote, stealing guys from American top team.
Right.
It's not stealing if you go, hey, train here and we'll pay you. I know how tough it is to be a fighter. Train here and we'll take care of some of your bills.
Sure.
Most guys are going, yeah, man, you have really good guys here too.
And Glenn didn't hide his motives. He's like, hey, I'm in this because I don't like that guy. He's talking about Dan Levy, the two nicest guys you're ever going to meet in the sport, but they have a problem. And it really created something neat. Rivalries are neat. For those guys, it's not. It's bitter. But for everybody else that's involved, including the fans, it's fun. It's what creates things from football to basketball to baseball. Nothing beats a rivalry. And those guys really help the sport. And I don't feel that they've ever, either of them, Dan or Glenn, has ever really been given their due.
Dan gets some due. I mean, ATT.
Sure.
He's kind of a pioneer. But going back to you on Celebrity Apprentice, so how did this even come about?
I got a phone call one day. I got a text message from a producer of the show, and I kind of blew him off because he wanted me to come out and do a try. He built me up first. Hey, we think you'd be great for this, and I followed your career. He said all these nice things, like he knew who I was, and then said we need you to come out to California and do a tryout. And I'm kind of going, if you've already seen me and you're reaching out to me, do I have to? Yeah, and I kind of blew it off, and he said, well, who's going to be your manager on this? Who do you want me to deal with? And so I went right to Dana, and I said, will you handle this contract? And
are you with the UFC at this? This is a year ago?
Yeah.
So you're still under contract with the UFC?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't come to Bellator, I want to say, until November. And if I'm wrong, it was October, but I'm close. I went right to Dana, and Dana said, yes, I will handle this. And so I kind of blew the guy off, which is not something I would normally do from a producer of any television show.
No.
I guess I just didn't take it serious. And he's like, hey, I really need you to come to California. I got this whole thing put together, but this is what the bosses are saying. So I jumped on a plane, I flew out, I met him. It was really quick, and boom, they asked
you
me
were
to
in.
participate. Yeah.
And then did you have expectations going in? Because obviously having Trump on the show is a different animal than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's right. And Trump, when you do follow the seasons, he did have rules. He had policies that if you did this, you were going home. And it was amazing. Every season, someone would fall in those traps. And I'm going, you didn't do your homework. You didn't watch last season. If you watched last season, you'd have known not to do that. But Schwarzenegger, in large part, followed that same code. Those leaders do have things that they're looking for. And, right out of the gate, Brennan, anyone that calls himself a celebrity is largely a prick. I mean, they just are. Even if they are a celebrity, I mean, don't say it, because at distance, it's just kind of one of these things. And there's another expression, never meet your heroes because they're only going to disappoint you.
It'll hurt your feelings.
And that's also accurate. You get let down a lot. I can tell you, and I've been there and just kind of gone away and gone, man, you just weren't that nice of a person. Schwarzenegger delivered in every aspect.
Really?
I looked forward to seeing him each day. He had an energy about him that was not only magnetic, but it was contagious. You would leave there feeling good. And great leaders do that. Obama, I'm a Republican. Obama was a great leader because after he would speak, you would feel good about yourself and you would have hope. He would inject you with this positivity. Schwarzenegger could do that. And don't forget, he was having very negative conversations. That was his job. He's firing people. He was the guy that could break up with the girl and then they stay friends. It's an unbelievable Uriah Faber-style skill set. That's very hard to do, but he had it, and he really did deliver. I want to say that because he's owed that. He's one celebrity that was a regular, hardworking guy that did not let me down.
Did you butt heads with anyone on the show?
Yes, but that is the show. See, so we had people on the show that I don't believe were fans or did their homework and went back in retrospect and watched. Look, it's a vicious game, but it's just that. It's only a game.
Yes.
So we're on the show. You get into the boardroom, you set someone up and you stab them in the back. That's the game. And if somebody does that to you, get up and you say, man, I never saw that coming. Good job. Other people were drinking, walking off set in tears, largely the females, but they would be in tears. They were so upset and their feelings were hurt. And I'm going, no, ladies, this is the game.
This is what you signed up for. It's a vicious
and brutal game, but it's just a game. This isn't real. There's not actually a job at the end of this. When the Apprentice first started, and they did this for the first 3 seasons, it was real in that whoever won, Trump gave a job to. They went out to Trump Tower and they did building projects for him in real life.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was actually a shoot. It was a reality show. Now we're just after ratings. Come in here, let's have some fun. Let's play the game because we're competitors. Let's all try to win this. But don't lose sight of the fact this is a game.
Correct, and entertainment. And so, because when I saw it was coming out, I didn't know he shot it a year ago. I'm like, wait. And obviously I should have known this better being entertainment. I'm like, hold on. He's doing this. He has this huge fight coming up. This is trouble, man. You got the Ronda Rousey kind of chemistry going here. So now you have this huge fight. You sign with Bellator. I said this when Tito's in here. I said the signing of Chael and Roy McDonald and all these other guys, biggest sign of all time. Like the Bellator is doing great with who they're signing. You come on board and they offer you Tito. You called out Tito, yeah? Is that how this went down? So did Scott Coker, God bless that guy, as a promoter, most of them, he has kind of that it factor where when he leaves, you feel good.
Yep.
He's one of the few guys when you leave, you're like, damn, I actually like that guy. Did he give you a list of names and you're like, you know what? I want to beat up Tito?
No. Tito came...
Because that's how Tito makes it sound.
Somebody from them suggested Tito. It wasn't Coker, but somewhere that name came up. I went over there to fight Wanderlei Silva. And I thought that Wanderlei was under contract because he was with Rizin, and at that time, and maybe it's even still now, I've never fully understood, but at that time, Spike and Rizin had an arrangement. So I thought if you were with Rizin, you were also with Bellator. They were trading talent. And they have King Mo by example. Fedor has gone back and forth. So at any rate, when Wanderlei's name popped over there, I thought, oh my gosh, they got him. They haven't announced it, but I did the math here. You got him. So when I went over there, I thought it would just be Wanderlei. And it will be Wanderlei, but not until summer. He's still on some kind of a suspension. Whatever happened with that, which really was a mess.
I know.
I'm not a Wanderlei supporter, but man, that wasn't right. What happened to him there? He
bad.
got shafted.
Yes.
And so at any rate, somewhere Tito's name came up, and I mean, that's a great idea.
It makes sense.
Let's do Tito.
And then you have two of the best trash talkers of all time. But now, I mean, you're older, you're coming off suspension, and this is my only thing with breaking down this fight is all that time off, and it's not like you're jumping back just fighting Billy the newcomer.
Sure.
You're the main event. You have to sell this card. It's a different animal, and I don't think people realize how many days have you had off? I mean,
very
years.
few.
Yeah, I mean,
from the ring, 3 years.
3 years. So, I mean, you're talking a long, long ass time. And you're not just coming back fighting on an undercard. You're not the opening fight of the main card. You're the main event. So, being a main event, it's just a different feel, man.
Yeah.
So, are you worried at all about ring rust? Because if you were active, this is a no-brainer for me. No-brainer. Who would win this fight? My only X factor is you having all this time off.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I worry about that too. I don't know a damn thing about ring rust, but I hear about it. I'm a student of the sport. If it happens to one guy and it happens to 10 guys, it's going to happen to the 11th guy. However, My counter to that, and we'll find out if I'm right or not, there is an experiment here for me as well. I was in the gym. I never missed a day of sparring, no matter how busy I was. I never missed practice, ever. And I was very disciplined. Even on the days I didn't want to be there, and maybe the intensity was down or I was lazy, I was there. So I think that the ring rust may not totally be there. And then from a competitive standpoint, I did stay active competing. And I'm hoping, and hope's not a great strategy, but it's what I have right now. I'm hoping, that the rust it won't affect me. And Dominic Cruz is really my inspiration because Dominic Cruz was out. He was not able to practice.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah.
He was not able to spar and get in the room and do grappling contests. He was just flat out.
That's a great
Came back
point.
and won the world. Now, everybody can
That's like
do
saying
that.
Bernard Hopkins. He fought to 52. You're talking about the exception.
Some guy that comes back and does it, I'll use George Foreman as an example, but he gets the knockout over Moore at 50 years old, and everybody goes, it can be done. There is some clinging there. There's a bit of a stretch there. I think that's fair too. But the examples do exist.
Yes.
It can be done. I'll put it that way.
So let's say there's no ring rust. How do you see this fight going?
All I can tell you is this. I mean, I'll tell you my strategy right out of the gate, and you'll see I'm not kidding. But the second they say go, I will. I will come across that ring and get into a fight.
That's what you always do.
Yeah, and whatever happens after that.
Time.
Yeah, whatever happens after that, we're gonna have to find out together. He's got some positions I don't want to be in.
Yeah,
he's got some positions. Particularly if he's on top, what he can do with the elbows on top, and he's just kind of a natural at him. The way he works those elbows and pins guys and fences. I've never seen anybody immune to that takes on Tito. I don't imagine that I would be any different. So I need to avoid those positions.
Yeah. You don't want to be on bottom of Tito's ground and pound.
That's right.
That's obvious. Have you changed anything as far as camp for this? Being older, have you switched up trainers, training camps, trainees?
I've got the same coaches in the same gym and the same teammates.
I like that, man.
Yeah, and
that's rare.
I was with a different gym, but it closed, so everybody moved over. I was with Team Quest, which moved. It ended up being named One MMA. And Coach McCory just said, you know what, I had a great run and I had a lot of fun, but I'm going to go do something else.
That's fair.
Yeah, and he did, and he became a grandfather. He just got to a different point in his life. So all of us, though, as a team, including Coach McCory's staff, all went over to another gym and we're under Fabiano Scherner, who's been a longtime teammate of mine. So it's really the same feel. We're across town now, but it's the same guys. And I can tell you for training camp, Brandon, I don't remember being this sore and tired. My wife swears up and down. She's like, no, this is normal.
Every time.
You complain every time. I go, I don't remember it being this level. And I also used to be, there was the testosterone era when I was competing. That was a great recovery agent for me. And I saw so many guys go, this isn't a performance enhancer. I'm like, I've taken, it is. It was for me. But particularly for the recovery, and when that's gone now, and it's been tough. It's been really tough.
Has it been tough? Toughest training camp of your life?
Yeah, I think so.
Just physically,
What about
mentally?
You
have a lot going on. Let's be real. You have your podcast, which is doing well. Obviously, Celebrity Apprentice, and even though you shot it a year ago, you're still doing PR, and then you have to sell this fight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of hours used, but for training, we do 2 hours in the afternoon and just less than 1 hour in the morning. So there's still 21 hours in the day, and I hate time off. If I look at my calendar, I hate it. It
stresses me
every
out.
night. I check my calendar for the next day, and if it's blank, I go, jeez.
I know.
So I like to stay busy. I like those distractions. Some guys say you really need to focus. That's their approach. Mine is different. They say you need to look at one guy. I'm not looking at Tito. I'm already looking at Vanderlei. But that's my approach. I do that for me.
That works for
That's
Chael.
what helps me. So, I have been busy, man, but it's been nice.
So if everything goes according to plan, you get through Tito Ortiz, you're thinking Wanderlei in the summer, and then anyone else on the hit list?
No.
What about Fedor?
They keep bringing Fedor up to me now.
I would love to see that, Chael.
Mitrione, Fedor's got problems coming up. Mitrione's not an easy day.
No.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah,
he's
and
a monster.
He's hard to hit above everything, and he never gets credit for this. But when people analyze Mitrione, if you go watch Mitrione's tapes, what's so amazing about him, for me, he'll have punches come as close to him as his microphone is, but they won't land. I mean, he knows right where he is at all times, and Fedor is a little bit loopy. I see Mitrione getting out of the way and firing back, and let's see what happens there with Fedor. But he's certainly got a place and a presence, and we could end up in the same weight class. Yeah,
I mean, even if Fedor were to lose, he's kind of like one of these BJ Penns where it doesn't really matter. We don't care. So it's going to be great for Mitrione if he beats Fedor, but the fight with Chael doesn't go away.
Sure.
If you were to lose to Matt and then for whatever reason Wanderlei can't make it, you versus Fedor would make sense.
Absolutely. And I think that they would agree with you. Yeah, I would take that fight.
Gangster weight? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I think we'd fight at gangster weight, meaning heavyweight. Fedor's been one of these guys that he's had no interest in moving down. There's been a lot of talk about it. I've only met Fedor one time, and we were in line together at a Starbucks.
Really?
In California. He was standing in line in the sweater and everything. We're in line at a Starbucks. I looked over at him. I was taller than he was. He's not like
a big
5'10", 5'10 and a half. He's a little pudgy, and a lot of people have said go down to light heavyweight, but he doesn't have an interest in it.
He won't even entertain the idea.
No.
Like, it's not like, maybe. He's like, why would I do that?
Why would I do that?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even cross his mind.
Yeah, so I guess my point being, yes, I will have to go to his weight class, and I don't think he'll even agree on a catch weight. It's, hey, if you want to come up here, it's heavyweight, we'll do this at 265.
But that's the money fight. That, Wanderlei, I'd love to see both of those.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah, I think they've got some good problems.
Even Rory
with Bellator
McDonald,
right now.
there's a lot of fights for you.
Definitely.
Man. There's a lot of fights for you.
Yeah, and to Rory specifically, and I say this as a fan, I am wondering what they're going to do with him. He's been under contract for a while. He's got to get something.
His nose.
Is that what's bothering him? Oh, he can't accept a fight.
Yeah, well, because when he fought, I think it was Wonder Boy. So in the Robbie Lawler fight, his nose was shattered. He saw white. Then he had surgery. He came back way too soon and fought Wonder Boy because he wanted to make the fight. The UFC wanted to make the fight, so he came back too soon. He's just like, I can't take a punch right now. So he signed with Bellator under the understanding that let my nose heal and I'll fight whoever you want me to.
Okay.
So that's all he's waiting for.
Yeah, he definitely won't have a problem. I mean, they won't have a problem getting him to agree to fight. And he's talked about going 85, 170 is his home, but he
said, let's do gangster weight.
Yeah, that's right. He's got the frame, he's got the right mindset too of let's just do the fights. You got some guys over here. Let's not worry about let's not find reasons to keep us apart. Let's get in there.
And if you market that kid right, I mean, remember he was, the next GSP, and GSP
according to GSP,
right. Yes, and most of Montreal and Toronto. So if he gets on a winning streak, he'd be huge for
you. Ever worked out with GSP?
Yes,
unbelievably strong. Would you agree with that statement? Yes.
And smart.
Yeah, very smart. Yes.
Very smart.
I've worked out with him and drilled with him, and he will drill at a slow pace if that's what it takes
very
to
methodical.
Get the move perfect. I mean, he's had ankle locks and stuff, and he will not let go until his hips are here and his foot's here, and then he'll check and then he goes again.
He's very cerebral.
Yes.
And then he was a guy, we were training, and he, like, his elbow slipped, and he cut me right above my eye, and it was, a small, like, maybe, I don't know, an inch and a half. And I go, oh, and he goes, oh my God. And I go, oh no, it's just a little blood. He goes, no, stop. Because I think I was, 6-7 weeks out from a fight. He's like, nope, you got to go get stitches. But as Shane Carwin days, Shane was like my older brother. You get cut, you keep going.
Sure.
GSP wouldn't even entertain that.
Yeah.
Nope, sent me to a guy to get stitched up. He's very methodical, man.
He has his philosophies,
smart.
definitely. Yeah. I wish he would talk more. I wish he would do more interviews because he is an absolute brain on this sport and training, and he's got a system all the way down to his diet of extreme discipline. It's like, George, you do have some Bruce Lee components where you have innovated a rare sport. Come out and talk. Tell people a little bit more.
He really did.
Yeah.
Because, fighters they were all over. And then I flew up to TriStar with Nate Marquardt, and we went through his camp for, I think we were there for 2 weeks. And I've never seen anything like it. I was like, oh my God. I mean, he's approaching this literally like a professional athlete.
Right.
He has this, and everything's organized. He has a head coach who's telling him where to go, and he's rest time. And
yeah, I wish he would come out and talk more, though, because he has a knowledge that he could pass on, and people want it. Hey, George, we respect you. We want to hear from you. But I don't know if he's shy or if it's his marketing approach where he just found, look, I'm better to be more of an enigma. I don't know, but it is tough to get an audience with George. But when you can get one, it's powerful.
I don't know if I want to see him fight again. Like I was hoping they'd figure out his deal with Under Armour. That was the holdup. And then I watched BJ Penn the other night and went, you know what? I don't want to see any of these older guys fight anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. Because they're not going to give GSP, like an older guy, a Diaz or something like that. They're not going to do that. They're going to toss him right to some freaking monster, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and George is different where he could likely handle it.
More demands.
He could come in and even win the championship, but he could also not. We did see what happened with BJ Penn, and we have found out. You brought this up with me earlier, and it's a very fair point, which is We don't get better at something by not doing it.
No.
And Ronda found that out the hard way. And, one of the things Ronda's got against her, there is some politics with her. Her contract, as great and lucrative as it is, can work against her in that when you're Ronda Rousey, when you're getting a disclosed $3 million plus back-end money that we all know about,
too.
when you're getting that, you have to be the main event. You have to be on top of the bill, which means you have to have a tough opponent. They cannot give you just somebody. So that contract, can there is some politics there that can put Ronda in a pretty tough spot, as we've seen. But and George is the same way. With the money that they're going to pay him, they're not going to help him out with the matchup. It's
the same with Brock Lesnar. Any of these huge names, they just can't toss you a gimme fight.
Can't do it.
Because I don't get it. Why not give Ronda, just give her a warm-up fight? You can't do that.
Nope.
UFC's like, we can't sell that.
Not for that many millions of dollars. Yeah, you just can't. And Ronda's got a place, but, her contract is her contract.
Did you watch that fight?
Yeah.
What were your takes on that? I'm sure you've gone over it on your show, but love to hear it.
Here's my criticism of it. If Ronda went out there and her jab didn't work and her cross didn't land and her takedown got stuffed and her submissions were defended, fine. That's what we're doing. We're just seeing who's better than the other one. That's what this is. The biggest criticism, and I hate to kick anybody when they're down, and I don't want it to sound this way, but to be fair, she didn't try a jab. She didn't try a cross. She didn't try a takedown, and she didn't try a submission. She did not bring her offense with her at all. And that was also my takeaway with BJ Penn. It's like, hey, if your skills aren't as good as the other guys, he's going to win the fight. But when you don't bring those skills and you don't bring an offense, I think we have a deeper problem. And whether that was a lack of sparring or is psychological, or it was, look, I got a little ring rust here. I'm chalking this up to a training experience, and I'll be at the gym on Monday. I could live with those things. When Ronda came out of the ring, though, and said, I'm going to take some time and I need to evaluate this, it's like, Ronda, you've worked for 40 seconds in 14 months. If you're not in the gym on Monday, we got to stop.
And chomping at the bit to get back in.
That's right. If we chalk this up to, look, I needed to go through the process, the warm-up, boy, that camera came on, I froze. If we chalk it up to that, there is something that we can tell everybody as competitors, that's real. That's a real thing that you've got to deal with. It's not just the sport. There are some outside elements. If she came out and said, man, I was caught in the headlights, I'm going to be in there Monday, give me another shot, I'm on board. I think that she's got other things. I think she's got other interests.
I think she has other interests, and I just think, her mental state's just not there to compete at that level. And to your point, we didn't see any offense.
Right.
We saw nothing. Even her coach is like yelling head movement, and you don't see any of that. And Edmund got so much heat. You can bring horse to water. He has to drink. There's nothing he can do. So I don't think Edmund's a good coach by any means, but I also don't think this is his fault.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if anyone wants to bury Edmund, have at it. But ask yourself this question first. When his athlete was on top, did you compliment Edmund?
Yes.
If you complimented him when his horse was doing well, feel free to rain on him right now. But I think most people are going to hear that and go, no, I buried Edmund the whole time. When she was winning, I said, well, she was already good. Edmund woke up on third and thought he hit a triple. And, now that she's losing, it's all Edmund's fault. It's like, well, it can't always be Edmund's fault. It's got to be good with the bad here. It's not like he told her go out there and don't get an offense going. He obviously didn't tell her go out there and
do
stand.
nothing. Go out there, do nothing, get starched.
Yeah.
Then that'd be a bad game plan.
Rappaport said something very interesting, and it's very hard to argue.
Michael Rappaport?
Yeah, and he just said,
he's crazy.
He's
I
crazy.
love it. He's my
so
boy.
fun.
He's crazy.
He, you told me, you said, hey, you got to get him on your podcast. He's great. So I took your advice. I had him on, and he said something. There's no way to argue around this. He said, Chael, they said she was the best. She's done it 12 times. How can you be the best at anything that you've only done 12 times? And, we've got a big amateur circuit, particularly out in the Northwest. We have guys that'll be 15-1 in the amateurs before they ever turn pro. Her amateurs and her pro fights combined is a total of 14 times now. She's got a record of 12-2. And he does make a fair point to say, how could the media and the whole world and everybody say this is the greatest athlete ever and the greatest to have ever done it when she's only done it 12 times? It's like,
I disagree, Chael, and I disagree with Rapp. And I even sent him a text like, dude, you got to relax. He's like, white privilege.
Yeah,
she's only fought 12 times, blah, blah, blah. But that's all she had. Like you can hate on her competition, you can hate on her inexperience, but from the women's division, it's so new. For that time being, she was the best. In that short time, she's by far the best.
Sure.
What else are you going to compare it to?
I like what you said there with the women's division, though, because they were talking overall that she was the best. And there was even talk. This is 14 months ago. I mean, this is going to sound crazy when I say this, but 14 months ago, there was talk that she could beat Floyd Mayweather.
Your boy Dana started that, by the
and
way.
it's like, hey, your
boy Dana was like, she would starch Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
It's like, God,
it's
dog.
like, you got to stop, But the whole world was behind it. Sports Illustrated, ESPN, I mean, the biggest, most reputable people out there were like, yeah, I mean, with Ronda's skill set. It's like, guys, no, just stop. Why are you doing that to poor Floyd?
But that's what happens.
Respond.
That's what happens. It's this snowball effect.
Sure.
And we're like, man, I when she was starching girls, I was like, I'd like to see her against Uriah Faber.
Sure.
I started tossing that stuff out.
Yeah.
And, Rogan was upset because I don't want to say he was upset, but he wasn't happy when during the promos for her UFC fight, they used old footage of him commentating on Ronda's striking. Like when she starched Betch Correa or when she beat Kat Zingano, they used that but put it into present time. He's like, I never said that after why don't they play the stuff I said about the Holly Holm fight? But they don't. They're using old stuff to build up her striking right now, which he wasn't a fan of.
Yeah, I get why they did that. They've got the right to. I do get, but yeah, it doesn't
I
quite
100%
tell the
get
story.
why you would do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
He also, Rogan made a fair point too, which was, the one thing absent from the promo video that they did on Ronda, which was an outstandingly done piece from a production standpoint. There was no Amanda Nunes. She's the champion of the world. Let's not forget that.
This is my point with that show. Can you, because they want to compare the UFC to the NFL, NBA, all that stuff. Can you imagine if next week's playoff game, all they do is run commercials on Tom Brady and the Patriots, but mainly Tom Brady, and then you don't air anything on Ben Roethlisberger, and then he wins.
Sure.
Think how upset people would be.
Yeah.
They're like, what the yeah, probably Tom's going to win, and he's the poster boy, but there's a freaking chance that Ben Roethlisberger could pull this off.
Yeah, and it does take two to tango.
Yes.
Roethlisberger is doing the same commitment and sacrifice and hard work and grinding out for his dreams.
I think it hurt their ratings.
Story that needs to be told to be fair. And you can give somebody, if you got a 5-minute piece, it could be 90-10. But the other person they do need to be in there. It's like, hey, I can't tune in just for one person. There needs to be a feeling in the community that Ronda could win, and there needs to be a feeling that Ronda could lose. That's what makes the draw. That's what allows you and I to bicker, you and I to discuss it with friends and bicker, that there is an opportunity on one end that they could win and one that they could lose. That's something that Conor has always had going for him. And a lot of it's because he's taken such hard fights. But everybody goes, well, no. Chad Mendez, shut this guy off. Oh, no, they can't. Conor will kill him.
Yep.
But nobody knows who's right. Even though we take our stand, we don't actually know. And that's really what drives the industry from a promotional standpoint. Leaving Amanda out of it, I thought was peculiar.
She was also a world champion at the time. It's not like she was just some random Brazilian girl, her first fight. She was the world champion.
The reigning
just
champion.
Starched Miesha Tate at UFC 200.
She's walking out second.
Yes.
And you're going to act like she's not on the card.
It's so crazy.
And, this is a total weird thing to even nitpick about. I mean, so what? They did great numbers. They know what they're doing from a business standpoint.
I disagree, Chael.
It was interesting. Look, you need to, hedge your bet that you're promoting Amanda as well. If she should win, you need her to draw down the road. Don't miss this opportunity. No. If we're going to make a video, let's throw a few Amanda clips in there.
Yes.
It's one extra plane ticket and a camera.
I agree. So, and then we'll get to Bellator. But what if you're UFC brass? What do you do with Conor right now?
Well, so there was
because they're doing, before you answer, they're doing, and I know you've been all over. So maybe you do know this, maybe you don't. I don't mean to disrespect you here. So Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, right, for the interim title at 155. Aldo, obviously the champ right now, so you have to relinquish that belt. He's talking about the Floyd Mayweather fight. He's even talked about fighting Woodley. What do you do with him?
Okay, well, first off, I think there is legs to the Mayweather thing, and so many people are naysayers. But I think there is some legs there. Historically, what you need for a big fight to happen is for the athletes to agree. That's the hard thing. Once you have the fans on board, you need the athletes to agree. Getting the promoter to come to the table is the easiest thing in the world, but we're not finding a promoter that quite wants to make this fight yet. Dana has now become that promoter. in some level, but I don't know how serious he is about it. So, let's see where that whole thing goes. But it is all out of order. It's like, wait a minute, you got the best in this world versus the best in this world. There's a storyline there, and they want to do it, and we can't make it happen. I've never seen that before, where there's a mega fight that the athletes have agreed to, and the promoter doesn't come in and make it happen. So everything's a little out of order there. I think Conor's probably going to do whatever he wants to do. If they do have a presence going to Russia, and there was just a meeting with Dana and Ari went out and we're at the Kremlin trying to bring MMA there, then Khabib versus Conor would make a lot more sense if they were to go to Moscow.
And if you're managing Conor, is that the fight you would do next?
Hey, those guys don't appear to say no. I mean, a Conor comes out and says, I'll fight anybody and all this stuff, and a lot of guys do that, but then they don't behind closed doors. He appears to be a guy that really will. I don't think he matches up well with him, but I didn't think he matched up well with Chad or Eddie or Jose for that matter.
I didn't think he matched up well with Eddie, and they starched him. Like, I can't doubt this guy.
Nobody kicks Eddie Alvarez's ass. There's like guys that can beat him. Nobody runs over Eddie Alvarez.
Like that.
Not like that.
I've never seen anything like that.
Ever. And, Conor couldn't have been coming in there just full of confidence. He had lost a fight, then he had a very close split decision that he won. I mean, he went out there like it was just a brand new day and took care of business.
If I'm managing Conor, what I would do next is the Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
I would, because Floyd's the promoter. Right. And then Dana's the promoter. I think Dana would want it to happen. And they have this $4 billion nut that they need. They have no stars, really. They need to make this up somehow. Nate, if there's no Floyd Conor talk, what's the hottest thing going on right now in the MMA world? Go.
Wow, yeah.
Chael Tito?
Yeah,
that's it?
I tell you, it can
Name
be tough.
something else we'd be talking about.
Yeah, I can't.
We're going to harp on Ronda losing again? You want to talk about John Jones? There's really nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
And they have this huge nut, and they need these stars. Well, if you make that fight happen, you're talking about the biggest pay-per-view of all time.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And so many people, particularly from the boxing world, go, we don't want to see that fight. It's like, really? You don't find that compelling that your guy is going to step in against our guy?
This is why. Because they have everything to lose. We have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Conor, and I think if this does happen, I think it goes 12 rounds. He gets outclassed. He lands a couple good shots, losing a decision. Cool. Our MMA guy just went 12 rounds, was supposedly the best of all time, and he's taking 100 mil. And then your guy's supposed to be the best. We can hang with it.
Yeah.
And then, so even if Conor loses that, we get all the promotion from boxing, MMA world. So you have these huge numbers, and then Conor goes and fights Khabib in Russia.
Sure. It's a huge problem if Conor makes it any amount of time, because don't forget, the reality is he's never done it. He does not have an amateur or a professional boxing background.
I thought he had an amateur boxing background.
If he has one, I'm not aware of it. I don't know that he's actually been in the ring, and he could, coming from Ireland.
Either way, compared to Floyd.
You get the point. I mean, even finding a commission, if you get a commission to sanction this, and you would, but if you get that to happen, it does speak to a bit of corruption. They're supposed to match up even guys. You can't bring in a guy that's 49-0 against a guy who's never done it and put that fight on.
Yeah, but Conor's bigger. He's the bigger guy. He's fighting a smaller guy in Floyd Mayweather. Conor's younger, quicker. Floyd's older. So there you can see it. This is me trying to sell the fight.
You don't have to convince me.
But also for Dana, what's left for Dana to do? Sold the UFC for $4 billion. He's the pioneer of MMA. He's this businessman. And now you put together the biggest pay-per-view of all time. We know how big Dana's ego is.
In the sport he loves, boxing. Don't act like Dana White doesn't want to be in the boxing business.
It's happening, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's happening.
Yeah, I
think it's happening.
If Dana ever got out of the UFC and had a non-compete, my prediction, but I really think he would go into the music business. I think he would start promoting fights. Just his love of music.
Really?
Oh,
what kind of music?
He loves it all, man. He loves dirty metal, headbanging.
Really?
He jumped in mosh pits before and been caught on camera. Yeah, Dana's a music guy. And people don't know, he comes into the arena on show day and makes them play everybody's walkout song. And then he will tell them a little more bass, a little less treble. Yeah, he's a sound guy.
Or he'll cut the walk-off song.
Yeah, he'll cut it completely.
He did that to me before Brazil called me. Can't come out to that.
Too boring.
No, he goes, too friendly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I came out to a song. He called me, did the same thing. But I mean, he is a sound guy.
Yeah,
he
man.
fancies himself as that. He is that. So, I mean, his true passions, he got an MMA. I guess he loves it. But to act like he loves it more than boxing. I don't know if that. I mean, I guess we'd have to ask him, but I think he would like to do boxing. I guess that's what I'm saying. I really think he'd have fun.
I feel like, and maybe it's in the meeting. You can see him now. Now that he's sold, he climbed Everest. He put his stake up there, $4 billion. I feel like he's a little more relaxed, easygoing now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that would be a psychology. I mean, he's got to just be really happy. You know, he's got to just
How can he not be?
A happy guy. He succeeded. He set a goal and he made it. And let's see where that all goes. You know, you do hear talk about how long will Dana be there, and I think his contract's only for 5 years. I just think if it's a stock and you take Dana White out of it, man, you short that stock. That is a brain that knows how to manage and round up cats. Fighters are not the easiest guys to work with.
No.
And you got to get big and strong at times with them. It's the only way to do it.
And I'm curious how involved he is. Like you see this Brooklyn card, I see some of the cards, and I'm a little curious how involved he still is.
Sure.
I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
You take Dana out of it, and to me, the most valuable guy, and I know people are like, oh, because he's one of your best friends. You take Rogan out of it, you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah,
you're gonna have completely different.
I totally agree. Breaking up Goldie and Rogan is going to be a bit of a blow.
What do you think of that?
It surprised me.
Did it?
It surprised me from two regards. First off, Goldie is a staple. I mean, all the way down to the video game, it is his voice. Every package, every commercial, every big fight, it is Goldie and Rogan. It's that two-man team. And when he came out, it was unexpected for me. It came out of nowhere for me, and I never heard why. I didn't hear if he got in a contract dispute or he wanted more money or his manager puffed up, which does happen a lot of times. And maybe Goldie, and I'm just guessing, but maybe Goldie said, hey, look, the travel's too much. I'm simply traveling too much, and I miss some time with my kids, and I don't want to do it anymore.
So though, you know,
you would have thought Goldie maybe would have just said that one little PR statement and just said, I got to spend a little more time with my family. So I'm just guessing, but it did hit me out of nowhere, and I think that he'll be missed. And there's plenty of good talent out there, but there is something to be said for when you think of a big fight and you think about the voice you're hearing. You do think of Goldie and Rogan, that team.
And who would you replace Goldie with?
Who would? Well, I know it
was all over. I know you leaked that Jim Rome was maybe going to step in, and that was the first I heard of it. That doesn't make much sense to me, and I'm a Jim Rome fan.
Jim Rome is the guy that Dana had said one thing. I have my dream announcer, and I'm working on it. He's talking about Rome. Now, Rome is with publicly traded companies, so finding out his information is pretty easy to do.
He's with Showtime?
He's CBS.
Yes,
who also owns Showtime. He's tied up until July. So here's the thing on that. Jim Rome makes $15 million a year, and he sleeps in his own bed every single night. He watches his kids grow. Now, an older man is not made for the road. A young guy that doesn't know any different, that does it at 18 or goes through college and goes right into pro sports and just stays on airplanes and hotels, doesn't always know any different. For somebody Rome's age is usually slowing down and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. For a guy to jump into that at his age, I think he's 47 years old, would be a very rare thing. And then the next question is, can they pay him more than $15 million a year? Because you're going to have to beat the contract he's got now. Because he's
doing
taking
a lot
some
of
big
cuts
risks.
too, and they're doing a lot of budget cuts. But bringing a guy like that on board. But here's the other thing that we have no idea: does Jim Rome and Joe Rogan have chemistry?
Yeah, that big question.
Or are they two Siamese fish?
Sure.
Or they can get in there and just.
And live sport is different than sitting behind a microphone and discussing something that already happened.
Completely
different.
different.
And that's what Rome's a master of.
You know exactly how it is.
Live sport is different. So they would be taking a very big risk, and Rome would be taking a big risk on them, and it would come with a big paycheck. So I think if I was to make a final prediction, I would say he's not going to get it done. And let's say there's 10 points on the deal to agree with. They've agreed to 9. But it's still not done.
You think Jim Rome will turn it down? Because what he could do is he can do the Rogan plan and go, I'm not going international. I'm only doing the main pay-per-views with Joe.
Sure.
Which would be huge, because when it came out that Todd Grissom, who I like, he's a great guy, but he's a guy. That's not rumbling anything. That no news outlet picked that up. Like, UFC Tonight did, of course. You know, he works for them. But you signed Jim Rome. Well, now you're talking.
Yeah, so to the point that you just made, because this is also relevant, if Rome says, I'm not going international, I'm not doing this, I'll do the big Foxes, I'll do the big pay-per-views, that's the end of it. Now you're talking about 13, 14 dates. For 13 or 14 dates, can you pay a guy more than $15 million? I don't I don't know that you can.
There's no way.
Not for a talent, not when your main event's not making that much. So I think that there is some challenges there for Rome to accept
Big
that.
time.
But he's the guy
that they want.
That I can tell you. Will it get done if you were asking me to make a prediction? No.
Yeah, I'd say no. And do you balance with, because when you signed this Bellator deal, I was hoping, and you've done some of it, I was hoping it's you, and then you'd be doing commentating as well, but you're not doing it as much.
Yeah, I don't have any deal with the commentating, but I love to participate. And
you're great at it, and you did at World Series. Yeah, you're one of my favorites.
Thanks so much. And there's very limited ways to participate in this sport. Aside from being an athlete, maybe you can talk about
There's
it.
10 jobs.
You could coach.
There's 10 jobs. It's like being a punter in the NFL.
Yeah, it's tough.
You got to hope someone dies.
There you go. Yeah, so if I could participate, I'm happy to do it, but I don't have any contract or even a verbal deal.
Because I figured bringing Chael on board Bellator, it would encompass all that. They get you as an analyst, a fighter,
Yeah, no, there was no talk of that.
Wow.
But I have made it clear to them, hey, if I can ever be involved, I want to be involved. But they got such a good team now. Their ratings are going up. I've only been to 2 Bellator shows since I've signed. One was on the East Coast, one was on the West Coast. They both sold out. And that meant something to me. I'm looking around the arena,
right?
The production's through the roof, but I'm looking around going, man, there's people all the way to the top of this building.
I was in San Jose, and I came in with preconceived notions. I'm from the UFC. I've been to all these huge events, and Scott flew me out there, and I walk in, I'm like, holy shnikes, this place is packed.
Yeah, and they did not use Fedor's presence to sell a single ticket. Nobody knew that he was coming.
Yeah.
Mitch Rion signed a blank contract. I don't know if you know that story. They went to Mitch Rion. And the only way you can keep a secret anymore in the day of social media is to tell nobody. They went to Mitch Rion and had him sign a blank contract, gave him bonuses, told him this is going to be a big fight. That whole thing, he negotiated, and then he signed his name without an opponent present. Bellator hid Fedor 2 cities away for 2 weeks because they didn't want somebody in Russia to see him board a plane to the U.S. and connect the dots. That's how much they kept that secret. But the relevance there is they did not use his presence to sell a single ticket. They sold 8,800 in a building that only sat 91. So is that a total sell? You get the point. The house was packed from the East Coast to the West Coast. And, that's really encouraging for the entire industry. Because we talk about saturation. Yeah, but everyone gets affected. From the media.
It helps everybody, though.
The T-shirt industry. Everybody gets affected when the industry does well.
And we'll get you out of here soon. A few more, and then we get some fan questions. What steps would you want Bellator to make to get to closing that gap between them and the UFC?
Yeah, well,
let's say you're Scott Coker for the day. What do you do?
So
I have my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours.
There's more similarities with Bellator and the UFC than there are differences. So many people have asked me, what have you felt differently? Now, staffing-wise, Bellator is smaller. They're putting on 23 shows in 2017. The UFC is going to put on 53 shows. So you need more people. That's changing. They're growing. They're moving into new offices. They have a vision, but I'm not privy to it, and I love to watch that stuff unfold. When the UFC got these new owners and they paid that huge price tag, you go, okay, they're planning to grow this thing. How do you grow something that has a weekly show with UFC Tonight, that has a weekly show when you consider there's 52 weeks in the year and 53 events going to be put on? How do you grow something when you have your own online network, when you've copied, taken the playbook from Vince McMahon where he's got this huge company and everything's covered? What is it you plan to do? And I'm so curious to find out that answer, because to me it seems like a pretty finished product. It seems like something pretty
that
special.
Painting's pretty done.
That painting's pretty done.
Don't be that guy with the afro who fucks it up. We're like, no. You used to watch that show on PBS? The guy with the afro would paint?
Right.
Like, no, don't do that, but who knows?
Yeah, don't come in and change. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But they do plan on making some adjustments. And expansion is an obvious one. And anybody that wants to sound smart goes, well, they're going to get into China. Any guy that wants to sound smart and doesn't know what the hell he's talking about likes to say they're going to get into China. What
easier
does that
said than
mean?
Done.
Right, yeah, easier said than done.
And why hasn't it been done before?
Tell me one other American company that had any success breaking in over there.
Correct.
But now they are looking at Russia, which is another huge market, and they've got some star power and some talent. Let's just see what they're going to do. But I find it very curious. So when you ask me to your point about Bellator, I would love to hear your ideas. But, they definitely started small, and now they've grown, and they are nationwide. They got a huge TV deal with Spike, who's fully gotten on board. And,
which is huge.
Yeah.
Viacom. But what people don't realize is the power of Viacom.
Yeah.
Which is a huge backer.
Viacom was sitting on $5.3 billion 8 years ago. They are now sitting on 15.1 to
money.
explain how well they do business over there. So, if you're a shareholder and you could have got in a decade ago, you're quite happy right now.
I think the biggest thing, and again, it just takes time, but I think the key guy here, and I know it sounds like I'm stroking his ego, but the key guy to all this is Scott Coker, because he has these relationships with the fighters that is something that I really haven't seen. In all my years of being promoters and fighting, Scott Coker, if you look at his track record and you look at Strikeforce and you look at everything he's done and you look who he's found, from Daniel Cormier to Misha Tate to Ronda Rousey, all Cyborg, all Gina Carano. I mean, we could keep going.
Sure.
Luke Rockhold. You look at everyone the UFC stars now, most of them were found or created by Scott Coker.
Yeah.
So he puts his focus now on Bellator, and I think it's going to take time, but he needs to find that young batch where he's bringing them from the ground up, because signing guys like you, it gets that huge crowd. But now we need these young up-and-comers who we know are going to be there, and we see them grow, and we see their ups and downs.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge is there's not a lot of depth. There is at some weight classes, but just not there yet, and that's the key.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you bring in, somebody with some notoriety, he's got to pass the torch before he goes. And the one thing about this sport, it's my only resentment towards this sport, is that we only get 3 matches a year. And, coming from a football background where you're getting 18 games, you're going 3 in a year.
And you better make them count.
That's right. I came from a wrestling background. I get 5 or 6 matches every Saturday, almost 30 matches a month. Now you get 3 a year. But the point is, if you have some driving forces, but they're only walking out 3 times a year and you got 23 cards that you got to fill, you got to have somebody that you can pass that baton to.
And it'll come. Like I said, it just takes time, but Scott has that track record doing it, but that's the biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
And then also, like you said, there's so much room for growth. Their version of UFC tonight, their version of the Ultimate Fighter, even though the Ultimate Fighter started on Spike, there's all that sort of stuff. And then again, for them, international, which you guys are doing in Italy, and you've had cards in Israel. I mean, so
they sold out in Israel, which kind of surprised me.
Me too.
I think of the Jewish people as a little bit more
me
passive,
too. I was surprised.
I said, really? Mitch Rion went over there.
Yeah, Mitch Rion doing the commentating.
It was packed. And he said, and you know who we brought? We brought Hoist Gracie. He said, they went bananas for Hoist Gracie.
Yes.
I said, really? I said, that actually, I was surprised by that. I learned something.
I know. Before we get into fan questions, for people listening to this, what besides 2 legends, and it's Tito Ortiz's last fight, why should we tune in to this Saturday live on Spike TV?
I'll tell you this, Brennan, I've answered those questions for 10 years because I was in the pay-per-view business, and I was trying to convince people, spend your entertainment dollars here instead of somewhere else. I have nothing to sell. This is live, free, and only on Spike TV. If you want to sit down and witness it, man, you're happy to. I'll tell you where it's at. I'll tell you it's a great card. There's going to be some energy and some excitement. I like people to tune in because it feeds my ego. I check those ratings the next morning.
Heck yeah.
I see how I did. But I actually don't have anything. I couldn't sell it if I wanted to. It's free.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
It's free.
When's the last time you saw Chael Sonnen fight for free?
For free.
That's
right.
You don't have to illegally stream it off online anymore, which I did when he fought Anderson Silva. It's not a big deal.
$250,000 fine and full prosecution.
Chin, let's get to the fan question and get this dude out of here.
By the way, Chael, I'm a big fan of you. And
Thank you.
And your podcast.
You have good taste.
Thanks. When I heard the Jim Rohn thing, the first thing I did was, I was like, Brennan, you got to check this out.
Yeah.
So he's already
and Brennan called me on it too. He goes, oh, come on. He could have edited that. I went back the next week and I talked about what Brennan said about what I said. And I go, yeah, he's right. I could have. I knew what I was doing.
Slipped out. I'm like, Chael's way too smart for that.
Oh, did I say that? Let's just move on.
Oh, before you get into that, your underground stuff. The Submission Underground. I got to talk about it because there was a rumor of homeboy, who was it? Conor McGregor's grappling coach.
Dylan Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis is talking smack to John Jones.
Yeah, he tried to get the John Jones fight.
Is there any legs with that?
Yeah, no. John is working on a deal right now with the guys over at Flow. John will be back, but his likely next opponent will be Rockhold. Which is also very interesting. And Rockhold can grapple. And
people don't realize. I mean, that's an understatement.
That's right.
Rockhold can grapple his ass off.
Cormier has asked for that match as well
with John.
Yeah, and John said no. I'm going to save Cormier for a fight. I want to use all my tools. King Mo has asked for that match. So there's some guys out there, Vinny Magalhaes, who we really want him to go against because it would be the first time in 10 years that John Jones has gone into a competition that he should lose. He should lose to Vinny under those rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or he could do the shop shutdown.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, he could. Yes, he could. Absolutely. Now, they will go into overtime. The shutdown.
You remember that.
Oh, God, I remember. Great strategy.
Not really.
I'm getting ready to wrestle Laborio in Abu
really?
Dhabi, and he better be ready for the shop shutdown. I'm going to be invoking it on him. That's right. He better read those rules because I'm going to be following them. The rest
the
is up
fans
to
will
him.
boo you, but just stick to it,
That's
man.
right.
You're going to
Stick
take
with
some
it.
heat online, but you just grind through it.
It's competition.
But what
man.
you're doing with that whole organization there with grappling, it's amazing, man. I love how like Misha Tate and John are on board. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do these crazy matchups.
Yeah, they loved it. Dan Henderson, I mean, they absolutely love it. But yeah, we got Dylan Danis is going to come out on January 29th. This will be at flowgrappling.com for anybody that wants to watch. He's going to take on AJ Agazarm.
Oh, that's a fun
Who's
one.
a world champion in jiu-jitsu. So, and they will follow the EBI rules. We're under EBI.
Which are by far the most entertaining rules.
Easily.
Not even close.
Now he's talking about getting to combat jiu-jitsu.
Where it's open hand slapping.
Yes. And that'll really prepare people for MMA if that's something that they want to do.
You're talking about a different game now, because now you're talking about you have to get commission involved.
I was going to say, I wonder if Eddie has checked this, because unless he's planning to bring the commission in, I think he could be met with some problems there.
And this is a guy who watched it, and this is my only critique of what you guys. I love it. I watch everyone, and you know I love you. The inside the cage doesn't do it for me.
Oh, really?
I want my jiu-jitsu on a mat. I want my wrestling on a mat. When I see a cage and they're not punching each other, I'm like, what are they doing?
What are they doing? Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's maybe because I'm a jiu-jitsu purist or grappling purist, I'm like, well, they shouldn't be in a cage.
We used that apparatus. No, I think it's a very fair point. We use that apparatus specifically because it's elevated in the venue where we got to do an elevated stage, and we didn't want guys falling off. That's where we run into commission problems in Oregon. As long as the athletes are protected, because they had determined if somebody is to be pushed off the stage, the blow, and it's a blow that the commission has to sanction, would be delivered from the ground, and therefore they may have to get involved. So we kept them in a cage so that nobody fell out.
This is in Portland?
Yeah, that's in Oregon.
Because at Metamoris, I mean, it was it was Kumite style.
Yeah.
It was just a white, I mean, if I would have fell off, you get pretty messed up.
They have the same
And it's
rule.
also professional athletes, so
Yes.
hopefully they're athletic enough not to fall off the stage.
In Metamoris, if one guy falls off of the stage, the other guy, whether intentional or not, loses instantly by disqualification, because, and the backstory on that is insurance for one, but the commission for two. They're deriving that the floor would then deliver a blow, and they have to get involved.
If someone would have told me that, I would have took Cyborg and launched him off the mat.
Throw yourself right off the mat.
Yeah.
Throw yourself right off the mat and then point at Cyborg. It's a little catch in the rules, and is it fair? Maybe, maybe not. But if we want these things to go on, it has to be observed. Yeah.
Interesting.
The rules got to be observed.
Well, let's get the...
Oh, actually, we'd love to do fan questions, but I guess Chael has to.
Chael has to run.
Oh, I gotta go. Look at that. High
I think we
demand
covered it.
around here,
I think
Brendan.
we covered enough.
Big Chael's got stops today, apparently.
Well, dude, I know you're busy, man, and I'll be in Portland when you're fighting on Saturday, doing a live.
You're
Fighting
doing your
the
live
Kid.
show,
but
yeah.
I'll be watching, man.
Where are you guys playing? Aladdin?
Yeah, the Latin Theater there.
Good for you.
So I'll be watching. You know who I support, man.
You're a
So
good man.
I'm
Love
proud
you,
of you, man.
Thanks, pal.
And thanks for stopping by. Chael Sonnen, everybody.
What do? I walk away now? Is that how this works? I get up and leave?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Oh,
Brendan, great seeing you, man. Thanks.
You're the best, man. One of my faves will always be one of my faves. Chael Sonnen. That was a fun one, man. All right, guys. That's this week's The Big Brown Breakdown. I am off to Vancouver. Come watch live The Fighter and the Kid. We are in Vancouver tonight as you're listening to this. Vancouver Wednesday, Thursday night, Seattle Friday night, Portland Sunday night. Tickets are still available for some of them. tfatk.com. See you tonight, Vancouver. See you tomorrow night, Vancouver. See you on Friday night, Seattle. See you on Saturday night, Portland. And then the Big Brown Breakdown live. If you guys enjoy this, the live show will be even better. It's comedy mixed with fighting. I think it's going to be a good time. Those tickets should go on sale this week from the Ice House. We'll have the link available on TFATK once that's available. But you heard it here first. The first one-man show, Big Brown Breakdown Live, is happening with special guest March 2nd at the Ice House in Pasadena. And that is not a huge theater, so those tickets will sell fast. When it goes available, I will be blasting out on my social media. They might be available right now. Like I said, we're looking into it. I haven't heard back from my manager, but it's at the Ice House. So the Ice House might have the live link. I'm not sure. Either ways, I will blast it out, but I want you guys to be the first to know. Everything you need, tfatk.com. Thanks for listening to Big Brown Breakdown. Love you guys. Till next time.